Hey folks, this is Bailey from Dank Wargaming,
Hey, this is Heath with Team Table War Hawaii.
and welcome to the Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast, where our aim is to provide Dark Angels players with the tactical and hobby skills that they need in order to enjoy this wonderful hobby of ours. So this month we have some new Space Marine pre-order releases to talk about because they come out like next weekend. We have some tournament results post-data slate to talk about.
Not entirely post-data slate. A couple of them are still pre, but fair enough.
So I can still talk about my GT then at that point.
Yeah.
We're going to take a look at some information we got from the Goonhammer review of the new Codex, kind of go through the new detachments, some of the cool stuff, some spicy things we're seeing already. We're going to look at the monthly hobby challenge. We're going to look at the community interactions, and then we're going to call it a day. Ready to do this,
All right.
Heath?
First things first, what are you sipping on?
Oh, Moet Hennessy's, not a Kentucky bourbon, it's Washington State bourbon, the Woodinville bourbon.
How's that?
It's nice. It's like a sub $40 bottle, and it's got
okay.
It's fairly smooth. It's got some bite, got some spice. It's very similar flavor profile to a lot of the Buffalo Trace line things.
I'm a fan of Buffalo Trace. Is it distilled in Washington or is it barrel aged in Washington State? Do you know?
I believe it's distilled in Washington State.
So
I know for Kentucky bourbon fans, they're like, "Oh, it's not from Kentucky." I'm like, "Yes, but being a bourbon is a much wider."
Yeah, it's not a Kentucky thing. It's an American thing. So yeah. I've got this is a Cape Henry gin, a special decanting and proofing from Deep Creek Distilling in Portsmouth, Virginia. So this is normally, I mean, gin is not normally have a color to it, but this was a barrel aged gin. Very fragrant, very floral, a lot of interesting aromatics. It's the best gin I've ever had. I sampled some with some friends when I was on that trip a few months ago and just had to buy a bottle. And Deep Creek, good distillery. If you're ever in the Hampton Roads area, they're one of the co-owners is a retired Navy SEAL Master Chief. So cheers.
All right, veteran, just like the Hotel Tango here in Indianapolis. Same concept.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have to go out there because I got to see the Monitor Merrimack site at some point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's like there. right. I walked past accidentally. I was like, oh, that's right there. There's the little island. Yeah, it's right off the Portsmouth Naval Medical Center Hospital. Yeah, so lots of interesting history in that area. It's a really cool area. So, all right, let's get it.
New releases. So the new Space Marine Codex is going to come out the weekend. I'm in Tampa for the Games Workshop Open.
It's the 14th.
Spicy.
Which is interesting that there's a 2-week pre-order window. Okay. I sure. I don't. So interesting for us is that so we have a GT on November 4th and 5th, which is 3 weeks after that. So we're like right on the edge about whether to adopt a new codex or not. I think our TO is probably going to make the call this week on that. So yeah, obviously it's not going to be in play for Tampa, but hey, whatever. So it's always like, I mean, you should always, if possible, I think, try and get new rules, because like when there's new rules out and you know what they are, like why are you playing with the old ones? Like it's just, you're going to do the thing and then it's not going to be as relevant going forward. So
right. Yeah. Don't you want there to be a little more diversity to the Space Marine lists?
Yes.
I mean, I know I do.
We'll talk when you get down there if we think there will be. I think there will be. So there's definitely some viable options or alternatives to Gladius. So
that's $60 there. We've got the new data cards for $40, and just looking when you click on the product info, this includes the new reference cards for the actual units, as along with the Army Rules card, the Armory card, and the Combat Patrol cards. So there is some replacing of the big badonkadonk cards that in this set. Just so everyone is
There's
aware, but they're smaller, so the access to card sleeves will be easier, but it looks like it might be an
okay.
eye chart for those who don't see very well.
Funny how you mentioned that. I actually had to go to the eye doctor last weekend. They wanted $800 for prescription sunglasses.
Yikes.
Like,
I'm
no,
going to
I
make
don't
sure I
need
eat
that.
carrots. I'm going to make
It's
sure I eat
like
my carrots.
I'll put a hat on, y'all. So, all right. Okay. So that being said, the new Space Marine Codex, there is a great legending of legends.
Yes.
So my 10 attack bikes, legends, all of my 15 traditional land speeders, legends, they have ridden off into the sunset. Um, rip. Let's. But I mean, trimming down a book that was like 105 data sheets down to like 80. Honestly, okay.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I do. God, like I was really feeling like I liked the old land speeders in this edition, but it is what it is. So there you go.
Got
Also, all the
Combat
old
Patrol.
bikes.
Yep.
Are they? Oh, okay. Also,
No,
some of the, like
we are getting
the old
the
bike
Combat
captains.
Patrol.
The old bike captain is legended too,
Yes.
which is a shame because I had him built up and I had a nice guy on a bike with a
Thunderhammer.
thunderhammer. So oh well, it's
He had his time.
he had his day. He bonked a couple of bonks, but whatever it is. So all right,
So
what
we have
else
the
we got?
Combat
Oh,
Patrol, 160, and it's got the Terminator Captain, the Librarian and Terminator Armor, the Infernus Squad 5-man Terminators from Leviathan. So that's there.
okay.
Company Heroes 65. So this is the new Primaris Command Squad, essentially, because it's
I
got the
like it.
Company Champion, the
It's
Ancient,
a
two
nice.
Sternguard Vets, and it comes with the Captain that attaches to them.
Yeah, the guy
So you
with the
get 5
banner.
models.
The banner is that's a hot looking model, right? The
Oh,
banner
yeah.
looks really good, right? With that cloak. Yeah. So
Plus, I think this is the first time you can get the Primaris Company Champion outside of that commemorative model. I think based on the picture in the old Codex and Data Slate, that was a commemorative series model. So unless you custom built one, this is I think going to be the first release, like general release of
um
that model.
I mean, a lot of these models would also be really good for, for Dark Angels, Intercessor Sergeants, if you're into that,
Yes.
right? Anybody who's got a
Yep.
cloak and or a tabard is is going to get green paint and white robe. So, yeah, they're good. It's a good set of sculpts. I don't
You don't have
know
to. You don't
how
have
the
to
efficacy would be
file
like.
off all of the Black Templar stuff.
I'm probably still going to do that, to be honest. I've got a kit of Sword Brethren down there that is going to be the rest of a Sternguard squad probably whenever I get around to it. So my office is a explosion. I've carefully curated the frame on this video so you can't see all the.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I've been working on so much stuff. But all right,
that's why I have
jump
my
back in.
background.
Yeah, jump pack intercessors. Jump pack intercessors.
Yep, 60
Like
bucks.
I don't know what their rule is going to be. But they're okay. They're all on tactical rocks, which I'm not a huge fan of, but okay. So,
Jump pack captain though, we get the smash captain back.
is he gonna smash though? He's not gonna be able to take
I
a thunderhammer. I'm pretty sure he just gets a
I
sword or a
think,
chainsword.
but if you look at what some of the enhancements are, I think he'll still smash.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
if you
possibly a way to do it with
a Heavenfall
like
blade.
yes, a Heavenfall blade would be good. So that could
Yep. Yep.
yeah. So anyway,
Chaplain and
all
Terminator
right.
armor. So another for 42. So this is another one of those from the commemorative series that they pulled forward into a general release model because they had that combi weapon Terminator Chaplain a while back. If you remember him, it
Yeah,
was
I
commemorative
do.
series.
And this is the one that is at the new Terminator armor scale.
Yep.
Right. And
And he
this is the
comes with
one
a
who
shield.
can actually take a shield as well. Right. So I actually think I converted my my Leviathan Terminator captain to be a Terminator librarian or Terminator chaplain. So just because I've got so many Terminator captains that I don't really need another one. But yeah.
Right. Terminator, the new multi-kit Terminator scale squad 65.
Mm-hmm.
Sternguard vets multi-kit, 60. The Strike Force Augustus, Lieutenant, 35. Desolation Squad, 5 of them for 60. Brutalis is 80. Some new Space Marine dice for 32, and already sold out is the Collector's Edition Codex at $100.
Yeah, it's timed this one well, like in the pre-order release window for the Space Marines. So it's a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it remains to be seen how some of this stuff shakes out, but yeah.
And we're sorry to all those other things that I think have come out since the last episode that I just can't remember and didn't have time to go back and find since there are so many of these. So we're gonna move along. But
all right.
but there's a lot of Space
Hit that
Marine
MetaWatch.
stuff. Yep. So let's see. The first thing I had lined up was the Grenoble Wargame Club season opener. We have a third place Asclepius, Dark Angels with a Gladius, Detachment, 2 massive punches from a Land Raider with aggressors, and a full squad of Deathwing Knights.
I got the whole list pulled up here if you want.
Go for it.
So it's 1995. So, and if you'll pardon me, the tournament and therefore the list are in French. So,
yes.
Yeah, so it's a Apothecary Biologus, Terminator Captain. The Terminator Captain has, looks like a Power Fist. That's what a Gauntlet Energetique means. Yeah, maybe. And a, I don't know what's a 90-point Terminator character? Doyen and Armure Terminator. Maybe I need to translate that.
There's Ancients and Chaplains.
Got it. It says Dean in Terminator armor. In the per Google Translate. Maybe that means I don't know. It's got a Stormbolter and a
Could it be a lieutenant? It's like
and a Thunderhammer. Stormbolter and a Thunderhammer. Stormbolter and a Thunder. It's 90 points. What's a 90-point Terminator character?
That's why I think it's a Strike Master.
Could be. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to look it up. So, all right. Moving on. So we got 6 aggressors. These are 220 points, which what makes me think this is pre-data slate.
Okay.
And then 10 Deathwing Knights, Chevaliers de la Deathwing. 10 Deathwing Knights, 2 squads of Inceptors, 2 squads of Scout Snipers, a squad of Infiltrators, another squad of Scout Snipers, 2 attack bikes with multi-meltas, a Land Raider Redeemer, and a Thunderfire Cannon. So, big Deathwing brick, the Aggressor brick coming out of the Land Raider Redeemer. Right? Those are kind of your killing units, and then you've got a lot of stuff that'll basically just do objective play.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, this is pretty standard to how we've seen a lot of Space Marine play come down, and I appreciate this because it's not just, green painted Space Marines. It is like undeniably Dark Angels because there's a big brick of Deathwing Knights in there. Right? So which is good.
Love it. We love it.
A little bit. So yeah, looks like this individual went 3-1.
It's pretty good.
Win, loss, win. Right? Okay. So, a 4th round loss. Right? So there you go. But
that's good. Congratulations. 3rd place. Indeed. So we've got the War for the Forge GT. Larry Paladin. 1st place. Here's where we'll get. Oh, here it is. Chaplain and Terminator armor, 90 points. So maybe there's our answer right there in front of us.
Terminator Dean. It's Dean. Maybe we'll call him Dean the Chaplain now. All right.
Okay.
Y'all, we're Americans. We don't speak other languages, which is definitely a sad reflection on our society. Anyway, okay. Yeah, so a Terminator Chaplain. Why would this guy have a Terminator Captain and a Terminator Chaplain? He's got 1 Terminator unit.
He's got 2. He's got Deathwing Knights and he's got a command squad.
Oh no. Okay. Because I'm thinking the same thing on the previous list though, because he only had the 10 Deathwing Knights. So it was just like because you can't attach them both to the same unit. So that French players list, he's like, I've got one character that's just not going to do it. Like, is it like, hey, I'd rather have a chaplain or I'd rather have a captain attached? That's interesting. I'm not sure. Because that seems like a real easy way to get your character just aced. Unless whichever one you decide you don't need is just going to sit on the backfield. But I don't know. I have to think about that for a minute. But yeah, here we go. We've got, like you said, Terminator Captain and Terminator Chaplain with a regular Land Raider and a Redeemer Land Raider.
Double Raider, baby.
Yep. 5-man Command Squad, 5-man Deathwing Knights, a Predator Destructor, a Predator Annihilator.
Like. Yes.
Yeah, like Predators are low key real cheap and good. I actually looked at them to play. That's what I was saying about the Iron Wing list. But yeah, a Ballistus Dreadnought. This one is the new points because Ballistus at 150 is the new points.
Okay.
2 Eliminator Squads, an Impulsor, and a Redemptor Dreadnought. So,
but is that Redemptor the right price though? I thought they dropped that one.
It is because I think Redemptors were 225 prior to.
Okay.
Yeah, but the and the Redeemer's the right price because Redeemers used to be 295. Now they're 260.
Okay.
So
okay.
So what do we do with Lissa? So you've got the 2 obviously Deathwing bricks, right? Bricks is a strong word because they're smaller units, right? The Eliminator squads and an Impulsor to move the Eliminators around, right? So you can, and the Eliminators all have last fusils, so you can shoot out of the top of it while you're moving and then jump out and run for objectives.
Yep. I like it.
So I like that this definitely has some objective play, which is a thing that I think Space Marine lists have been kind of coalescing away from in a lot of ways. That we have to resist the urge to do. So
well, and there's a lot of moving pieces because the dreadnought can go off and do stuff by itself, or it can kind of puppy guard or shepherd the dreadnoughts around. The Land Raiders can go around with their payloads whoever they want. The other dreadnought could hang out with the other. You could like have 2 dreadnoughts go off somewhere, 2 predators go off somewhere. You can have the 2 Land Raiders split off and go different places or hang out together. And then on top of all of that, you still got an Impulsor full of laser cannon dudes.
Yeah. If you think about this is Land Raider, Predator, right? Mm-hmm. That's 2 heavy armor hulls, right? And a Ballistus and a Redemptor. So there's 4 2+ armor vehicles on the table, and then 2 more Predators and an Impulsor. Right, so it's a skew. It's a skew list, right? It's just like, did you bring enough anti-armor to F with this? Probably not. Yeah.
I like it though.
Yeah, and then 5 Deathwing Knights and the Deathwing Command Squad. That's enough to solve a lot of problems, but not all problems. And I played a game last night where I tried some of this, and anyway, so yeah, this is a cool list. I think the Eliminators and the Impulsor is really good. I tried that once for just the damage output, thinking, okay, I've got an Impulsor with 6 mini las cannons on top, and but having a way to keep those 2 units of guys alive so that they can go grab objectives, and you can just drop half of them off an objective, and you can advance the Impulsor and still get them out, which is good.
Right.
So, and in the Devastator Doctrine, you can still shoot them once they get out.
Ooh.
So, yeah, there's that.
We love it. We love it, lad.
And this is Gladius, I assume? Because, the captain has the honor of a Hemet. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, cool list.
All right, you ready? The Torneo Nacional Warhammer 40K Mexico.
In Mexico.
It's in the Yucatan.
Xavier
55 players,
Barrera?
6 rounds. Javier Barrera, something like that.
I don't know if it's going to be Javier or Xavier, because there's an X as the first letter, right?
Or is it going to be like a sh sound? Xavier.
I assume this is in the phonetic.
I think I also feel like that's like, are you Peninsulario, or are you from South America, or are you from that's one? I also feel like it's one of those because there's those 3 specific dialects. So
yeah.
We could Americanize him. We can go full American and
English,
and call him Call him Xavier Barrera, because that's what an American would.
I don't want to. I'll try and be as respectful as I can. And look, man, you're doing so. Once again, this guy is leaning into the same thing we're talking about. Triple ballistas, Land Raider,
that's
Deathwing Knights.
Pretty sexy. I'm not gonna lie.
2-up saves all over the place, and I'm telling you, I think there's something that the Dark Angels could do with this, because you could just stack 2-up saves all over the place and then put a Dark Shroud behind them, so they're all in cover.
Ugh.
Right, and then the Dark Shroud is like a late game. Look, are you going to shoot the Dark Shroud? Like, no, it's just get like. So in the late game, the Dark Shroud's like jumping, moving around, grabbing objectives and stuff. So I don't know. There's something there, right?
But second place out of 55 in 6 rounds is that's good.
There's some work.
It's very respectable.
Did some work.
Very respectable.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. I'll pull it up on BCP real quick.
Well, and also looking at the fact, like, think about what it would take to get 3 of those dreadnoughts right now, because it's not a separate kit. I mean, I know people are like, you can go buy them off eBay or whatever, but he went out of his way to I'm assuming he got his Leviathan box, but then he had to go find 2 more dreadnoughts.
So
I'm impressed by that.
Triple ballistas, a 10-man brick of Deathwing Knights, the obligatory aggressor apothecary biologus, 2 inceptors, the Redeemer, scout sniper, a Calidus, and Voidsman at arms.
Okay, he's got the little guys.
Yeah, 50-point Voidsman at arms unit for some backline objective set. So, okay, yeah, it's like the 10-man brick of Deathwing Knights. I'm seeing pop up a lot of places, and it's pretty good. we saw that in our last episode and talked about how adept or a couple episodes ago, and talked about how adept of the Codex makes that unit probably, if you could get a charge off with it, get into play a little faster. So. All right.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on that second place finish. And then we're going to Flying Monkey Con 2022, 133 players, 6 round GT in Wichita.
2023.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what year it is. That's the kind of weekend we're having.
I understand.
That's why we're sipping.
Time has no meaning in this place.
We're sipping. We don't know what time it is.
Oh man. There
like
you go.
Our grandchildren be like, "Why do you keep confused with time?" It's like, you see, there was this year. It was called 2020. It didn't happen.
2020. Yeah. It's So, all right.
And you have island time on top of it too.
It is almost 2:00 in the afternoon, and it's like what, 8:00 for you right now? So
right, but I'm just saying, like, the way that like the pace of life on an island, like there's the island time mentality.
Trust me, I haven't been feeling that the we stay on island time pace. They've been working me hard.
Oh so, no, we need to fix that.
Yeah, I just gotta sit back for a couple more weeks now to take it, and I got a vacation planned. So all right,
there you go. You deserve it. So Dan Salmons,
Dan Salmons. I've heard this name before.
He's got 4th place. He named his list Thick Boys with
Thick
2 C's.
Boys.
And an I. So, like, if you were wondering, he did the thing. Mm-hmm. Gladius, Captain Terminator armor, Adept of the Codex, Librarian Phobos with Artificer armor, 3 aggressors with the Flamestorm, Fatty Squad of Deathwing Knights, Eradicators, 2 squads of Inceptors, 1 with each of the weapons. It says in the list, but I know for me all the time, I just kind of click the generic one and always forget to go back and change it. So maybe he has 2 plasma. Maybe he has what it says.
Interesting. I'm not sure. Okay.
Because I know I've done that several times. We got the 5-man Infiltrator Squad, 2 Predator Destructors, Sniper Scouts, and then get this, double Whirlwinds.
Double Whirlwind.
And the cherry on top, Eversor.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Once again... lots of objective play. 2 Inceptors. I'm seeing. So this is the 3rd list I think we've seen with double Inceptor.
It's fun
just to be able to, oh hey, I need to score investigate signals. Boop, there you go. Right, you can't screen me out. I'm gonna get it done. Boop, there you go. They are very vulnerable to Overwatch though. But yeah. So 2 Destructor Pattern Predators, 2 Whirlwinds. Scouts, Infiltrators, the Phobos Librarian goes to the Infiltrators so they're basically lone operatives. Double Eradicator, and so the Eradicators are on foot, right? 2 3-man. Man, they're only 95 points. For a squad of Eradicators. Wow. And then the 10-man Deathwing Knights. Obviously, that's your bully units go in the middle. Oh, man.
I wonder if he's reserving those Eradicators. Like, that's his, like, I'm going to keep them safe by just hiding them off the board, and then they pop in, kill something, and die.
That's a good point. So if you think about it back here, let's go. So he's got the scouts and the infiltrators that are untargetable because of stealth, right? Or so not stealth, but whatever, the effectively the lone operative roles. And probably, reserve the Inceptors and maybe the Eradicators, because the Destructor Pattern Predators and the Whirlwinds. And then I don't know how he's delivering these aggressors, because he doesn't have a transport for them.
You could reserve those too, I'm guessing.
I don't know, but they're so slow. Like, what are you going to do with them? Like, okay, so there's only 3 of them. They're Flamestorm aggressors. So clearly, so he's not doing the Apothecary Biologus with the Fire Discipline. What is the point? Why the Flame Gauntlets? Is there are they a meta choice? Like, they're an Overwatch, thing?
Yeah, got that. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Dan, if this hits your ears, man, reach out and let us know, because this is a very different list, which of course piques our curiosity.
Oh yes,
yeah, and then the Eversor, because I used an Eversor once. They're cool. The situation I had mine, he got swarmed by Kriegsmen and beat to death with shovels, but hey, that's what Kriegsmen are there to do. Yep. So. All right. Oh, this next list looks pretty interesting.
All right. Rooks 40K Open, 32 players, 5-round GT, Bozeman, Montana. James or James Walsh? Or I'm going to go with James Walsh here.
Yeah, James. We're going to go with James. All right. I got the full list here if you're ready for it.
Let's go.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I saw this. Oh, yeah. This is going to be good.
Gladius detachment, right? So a bike chaplain, right? So the bike chaplain, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 squads of Centurion Devastators. Which is God. Like, what? It's okay. It's with missile launchers and grav cannons, right? And then
oh God,
yeah, good, right? And then 2 5-man Deathwing Knight squads. Sorry, 3 5-man Deathwing Knight squads, and then 2 Inceptor squads, and then a full-size Ravenwing Command squad. Right, so Champion, Apothecary, Ancient Knight. So it's a 260-point Raven Command squad. That's where your bike chaplain goes. Which is interesting because the bike chaplain gives dev wounds for their guns. So, and the Ancient Apothecary and the Champion just going to make them move a little faster and have a little more OC. And the Apothecary is going to bring one back. So maybe.
Well, and the Chaplain gives them the +1 wound in combat, I think, too.
Does he?
Yeah, I just looked at chaplain that earlier. Yeah, I just looked at that.
I know the Terminator chaplain does that. Yeah, and the foot chaplain does that. All right, we're looking it up. We're hitting the tape. All right, so
keep going, and I'm hitting the books.
Yeah, we have a non-sniper, so 2 non-sniper scout squads, and then 40 points of inquisitorial henchmen. So, this is probably more deserving of the thick boy name than the other list, because there's 9 Devastator Centurions, right, and then 15 Deathwing Knights, and then the two drop Inceptor teams, scouts, and the Ravenwing Command Squad. So, man, what are the Devastator Centurions here for? Okay, what did you find out about the chaplains?
Yeah, he does. The chaplain does do that.
+1 to wound.
Chaplain.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So
all right, here's the dev squad. I got it. So they automatically reroll hit rolls of 1. Okay. And if you're on an objective, they get to reroll everything on hits.
So they're oath of moment proof. They can target stuff that's not your oath of moment target. That's really
yes.
Okay, let me go back to the Raven command squad real quick. Or do I have my cards as well?
All right, I got them right here.
Yeah,
we're going. This is easier to find stuff in because there's not so many.
yeah, you're not wrong.
All right, I got them. I got them right here.
All right, so the chaplain, or sorry, the champion has a mastercrafted power weapon,
yes.
which is 6 attacks, 2+ weapon skill, strength 5, AP2, damage 2. So +1 to wound, that will actually that'll do pretty good work. Yeah, and then everyone else has Black Knight combat weapons. So, yeah, with +1 to wound, they'll punch up a little bit. Yeah. That was and they're going to be, and I think they're base OC2, so the banner is going to make them OC3, which is pretty good. So, all right, interesting.
Full squad, yeah.
And then you've got dev wounds on their guns,
which are all
and you're going to be a little more on the plasma talons, and you can be a little more risky with overcharging them because you've got an apothecary to bring one back. So, all right, neat.
Well, and then with the change to dev wounds now, right? It just it bypasses all the normal saves and goes straight to normal. You have to have a normal feel no pain. So things that have got the goofy invuln saves, that's what these things are there for. I feel like that was something I was saying about earlier, where I'm like, people aren't talking about this yet with the new change to dev wounds, but some of these units that have the goofiness, we're gonna go deal with them now.
These could be good for Lich Guard to some extent. I mean, like okay, so there's 6 of them. If you get within 12 inches, so that you're getting the rapid fire, that's gonna be 18 shots. You're maybe gonna get 2 or 3 trigger dev wounds. I've played around with this unit with Black Knights, and it was like, okay, all right, maybe doing the command squad thing is because I really like the Black Knights rule where they give you anti-vehicle and monster 4+ on the charge. But maybe the rest of the utility that the command squad brings is worth it. So interesting. This is an interesting list, and I am really happy that we're seeing. I thought, honestly, Bailey, I thought that all we were going to see today was going to be aggressor spam, and I'm very happy that we're not. As a matter of fact, what we're seeing more than aggressor spam is double Inceptor.
Yep.
Which is cool.
It's fun.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, all right.
And I also like, is I think something we pointed out when we originally got into 10th edition was how one of the Space Marine things, and it's other factions have kind of gotten this too, but I felt like it was a real core Space Marine thing of units that interact with objectives. And these Dev Centurions were one of those things that I forgot about. I knew I read a rule that said you could do this, but I could never remember what the unit was, and it was those guys where, you're on an objective, I get full rerolls to hit against you. Just like Assault Intercessors have full reroll wounds, I believe, against things on objectives.
Yeah, if they reroll ones to wound and full rerolls to wound if you're on an objective, which is good. And speaking of which, I did the thing I said I was going to do last show, and I played a Close Combat Dark Angels list with Azrael leading a unit of 10 Assault Intercessors.
That's what he's for. Been working on him.
Good Lord, it is really good. I didn't even need the Intercessors there, honestly. Just throw Azrael forward in a Gladius detachment with advance and charge and being able to give him +1 to wound with Honor the Chapter. His weapon turns into a -5 AP. Right, and he's going to wound all infantry, most infantry on 2s with devastating wounds. And then if that doesn't get the job done, okay, now you've got 40 attacks with intercessors. And if they're on an objective, I'm pretty sure the Assault Intercessor's wound reroll is going to work on Azrael as well. But I should probably confirm that. Should probably confirm that. So,
yeah. All right,
is that unit or is it Chainsword? Because it's not a chainsword doctrine thing. That's the regular assault squads.
Yes.
So let's find out.
Yeah, you keep looking.
Yeah, we're gonna check.
And we're gonna congratulate James Walsh on that 3rd place finish out there in Montana.
Yeah,
And
Bozeman, Montana. Yeah.
And I'm going to progress a little bit here into the featured segment, which was us sort of diving into the Goonhammer review of the Codex because they got an advanced copy. And our objective here isn't to repeat word for word everything they said. It's more to go, oh, this is what they said. Well, here's what it looks like if we put Dark Angels in there. And that's sort of what we're looking for.
We are cribbing off their work, but we're building off their work. Hopefully it's transformative in nature, right? Okay, so the Assault Intercessor's Shock Assault rule: each time a model in this unit targets an enemy unit with a melee attack, reroll a wound roll 1. If that unit is on an objective marker, you can reroll the wound roll instead. So yeah, okay. Why is this relevant? I'm gonna tell you, because this actually I know that Azrael is to some extent wasted in an Assault Intercessor squad, but what this made me realize is that a unit of 10 Space Marines that Azrael is leading is a close combat unit. So if he's leading a squad of 10 Hellblasters, throw the Hellblasters into combat, right? Throw Honor the Chapter on them. Now they're going to wound most things on 3s, and they're -1 to hit. Or sorry, they're -1 AP. And that's really good, right? And anything that Azrael doesn't solve by himself, right? Like, and here's maybe with with Oath of the Moment, right? So like I said, it was I brought a funny list. I forgot to sign up for the game night, right? So I ended up playing 1,000-point game instead of a 2,000-point game, and I brought basically 3 units, right? That unit, and then Blade Guard Vets with a Judiciar and a Ballistus, right? And 5 Deathwing Knights with a Captain, and just literally walked my opponent off the board. Just sorry, man. So
it happens.
Yeah, he's a newer guy. I've known him for a while, but I was like, hey man, do you want to make this a teaching game, or do you want me to go hard in the paint? He's like, hard. I was like, all right, we're gonna rumble. So nice. So lots of information gained from just playing little tech piece games with those units. So.
And I feel that's relevant going into the main segment, because I feel like the biggest thing that we got out of the review, one of the bigger things that came out of the review, is the fact that Oath of the Moment is changed, and it now just does a reroll hit. So now we can go, oh, well, if I just take Assault Intercessors and whatever I oath is standing on an objective, I have that squad at least still has oaths, old school oaths.
Yeah. So this does really increase the value of twin linked weapons as well. So Talon Masters, and also I think like Thunder Strikes and stuff like that, stuff that's gonna make your wound rolls more efficient. So I think it's probably a decent change, because especially with adding all these new detachments, maybe they haven't completely realized how this is gonna interact with all of them yet. But God, like I can't chew through a squad of 20 warriors without the wound rerolls, or even Lich Guard, man. So whatever. But okay. Other thing I noticed, there are a bunch of units several units that did get datasheet changes. The one that spoke out to me kind of the most is that the Leviathan Lieutenant, his priority objective ability, which is where he picks an objective and then he had a 6-inch aura where everyone rerolled 1s to wound against things on that objective. Now the aura is gone. It's just if he is on the table, which is way better.
Yep.
So this is kind of a mini Oath of the Moment for some stuff, right? Especially if you have like anti-vehicle stuff. So,
and I think as we go through this review, I think people will catch on that one of the reasons that reroll wounds went away is because there's so much access through the chaplains, through the Leviathan Lieutenant, and some of the stratagems and things that people have access to, that it's going to give you that wound roll manipulation you're looking for, but it's going to make it specific. So like if you're playing a certain style army, those are the things that are going to get that manipulation.
Yeah. So, okay, ready to move into the detachments?
Let's get in the meat. Let's get to the meat and potatoes here.
So first things first, these are presented in no particular order. Okay, there is a particular order that I wrote them down in the notes. But, okay, so Anvil Siege Force. This is one that's supposed to represent the Imperial Fist's way of war. But I'm not going to lie, I kind of think that this one is a better Dark Angel's Green Wing than the Unforgiven detachment. So you take this list, every weapon you have becomes heavy. Yep. Things that were heavy now get +1 to wound if you don't move.
Yep.
So and I
made a
spicy.
list. I made an important list that I think everyone should go add to this list. Go through the decks and find it. But looking at the old index cards, things that have assault and heavy baked into their data sheets, because the assault's going to matter when we get to one of these other detachments. Intercessors, heavy intercessors, and hell blasters all come with baked in assault and heavy. So any detachment you want to run that affects those things, some of those units should be in there because they're going to get the benefit.
Yeah, so obviously this is going to be basically like I kind of envisioned, okay, what would the Lion do when he first takes command of his legion again, right? Well, he makes it a legion and not a chapter. So he would, in my opinion, probably take a look at implementing some of the strictures of the 6 orders of the Hexagrammaton. So Anvil Siege Force, this is a Dreadwing list, right? You're going to want to run 3 units of 10 Hellblasters. Because Hellblasters standing still with +1 to hit and +1 to wound, yikes, right?
Yeah.
Right? And you could do some bounding Overwatch where you've got 2 standing forward, you move one of them forward in a thing, and then you jump it out, right? And then the next turn, it's standing still, it gets the +1 to hit, everything else moves forward, right? There's some ways to abuse this. Other lists, so Indomitable. So okay, there's the thing you have to be really careful with this detachment is that you're going to get so tied up in the +1 to hit, +1 to wound that you're going to be afraid to move and get objectives. So you just gotta once again, I think like the drop Inceptors, right, is probably a good way around that. But all right, so this has some stuff that just replace the stuff the Dark Angels have in Unforgiven, but it's just better. For example, Indomitable Fury. It's what's the Dark Angel enhancement where you stand back up with half wounds? It's Shroud of Heroes, but it doesn't require you to be battle shocked. You just on a 2-up, you get back up with all your wounds. You could put this on a Talon Master and really piss some people off. Yeah, right.
Or your Levy Lieutenant guarding the Lion that they snipe, and then you're like, oh, he gets back up.
Nope, pops back up. So, yeah. Right. Another enhancement they have is Stoic Defender. It's a 6-up Feel No Pain for a unit, and Battle Shock only halves their OC.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. So like, hey, put that on your captain for your Deathwing Knights. So now your Deathwing Knights you don't have to buy a character to get the 6-up Feel No Pain from the banner, the Pendant of Remembrance.
That's true.
And you lose Adepted Codex, so you can't fall back and charge, right? But you still get the battle tactic, right? And yeah, so that's good. That's okay. They also have one called Fleet Commander, which is basically an orbital strike, right? You pick a point, right, on the board, and then your next turn, you pick another point on the board, and an orbital lance comes down and just incinerates everything between those two things. Every unit it touches gets D3 mortal wounds. Is that going to be a lot of mortal wounds? No, maybe not, but it's still going to be a bunch, depending on how it's set up. So, I think that's kind of cool.
I know it's a lot of people like that rule.
It's a psychological weapon, right?
Hey, yep.
Don't forget about this. Hey. And it's going to be a lot more effective against 1-wound model units, right? Like Sisters of Battle and that kind of stuff than it is going to be against multi-wound like Space Marines. So,
and it would be fun in the mirror match against another Anvil Siege Force that doesn't want to move at all. You're like, I pick this point, and now I pick this point, and I zap all your guys.
Yeah, like the old Command and Conquer, like ion beams. Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna write my name on the ground with lance fire from orbit. Get wrecked, nerds. Okay. Sorry, I get way too excited about this kind of stuff. All right. Okay. Some of their strats. So they have one called Rigid Discipline. This one is rife for abuse. Rigid Discipline lets you fall back in the fight in your opponent's fight phase.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the fight phase. Now, it has a term and condition, right? You can only do that if it's either onto an objective or in your deployment zone. So if you're already on an objective, you could fall back. Hey, you're on objective. You meet the requirement. Or so if you set up, so hey, I'm fighting you. I can fall back in your fight phase onto an objective. Now, at the beginning of my turn, I don't have to fall back, right? So you can charge, you can shoot, you clear that unit up, blah 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 blah. So
and all your stuff triggers because you didn't move. The heavy
right,
triggers and the plus one
exactly,
wound triggers.
yeah. So okay, this one is called Battle Drill. It gets you sustained hits 1, and if you don't move, you lethal hit on you critical hit on a 5-up.
All right, I like it.
Once again, this is a stratagem, so you can just once again your multiple Hellblaster units. Right, normally you would pay 25 points to take Bolter Discipline on one of them. Now you can just which one do I need it to be on? That one. Did they not move? All right, now they're hitting on now they're sustaining on 5s. Right, so that's good. Right. They also have Hail of Vengeance, which is just Grim Retribution. It's the shoot back when you kill a model in my unit, but it has to be the specific unit you targeted, not that shot you, not a different one.
Yeah.
So yeah. Right.
No Threat Too Great's an old Dark Angel stratagem because that used to be the thing you'd cast on. You'd pop it on your knights to fight big monsters.
No Foe Too Great to subdue. Yeah. So this rerolls all wounds at a vehicle or a monster, which is a great thing to have in your pocket. So for a Land Raider or something, or a Ballistus or something big, or like you're shooting at something, right? Or your big unit of Deathwing Knights gets into contact with something and just goes crazy. Now, one of the things you don't have access to here is a way to increase the AP of your melee weapons, but I'm pretty sure this Anvil Siege Force. So we haven't seen the actual wording on it, but from what it's implied is that everything is heavy. Is that all? Is that ranged weapons? Is what they said in the Goonhammer?
That's a good question.
I'm scrolling up to look right now.
I see where you're going with this, because then we'd get the old Dark Angels rule where I didn't move this turn because it's
all your units ranged weapons. Yeah.
Okay, but I see where you were going.
Yeah. I didn't move, so donk.
Yeah. That was such a fun rule. I enjoyed that.
It was so
much.
Great. Yeah. All right.
This last one's fun.
No backward step. It doubles your OC, but you can't move. Right. So, once again, a nice piece of flexibility so that you don't have to lock your big OC unit right into one thing or the other. So, really good and this probably would partner really well with Stoic Defender. So if you take like Deathwing Knights, right? Oh, they're OC1. It's halved to 0.5, which rounds up to 1. And then no backward step doubles it. So now they're 2.
Yep.
Even if they're... But I guess if you're battle shocked, you couldn't use no backward step on them. So I guess not. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but if you have a Biologist that's already popped off in that squad, ooh, baby.
How do you mean?
Now he's OC 18.
Oh. Oh my. Oh my. Yep. Okay. Well spotted, sir. Okay. Yep. So anyway, that I think there is Dark Angel play in the Anvil Siege Force. Once again, you just got to be careful not to lock yourself into not moving to get the +1 to wound. If you just start with 30 Hellblasters, right? And honestly, Heavy Intercessors with those damage 2 weapons. Do they still have damage 2 weapons on Heavy Intercessors? Am I out of my mind here?
I think they got rid of that. They're still strength. They're strength 5 though.
Strength 5 with +1 to wound is pretty good, right? Heavy bolt rifle. The heavy bolter is damage 2 and sustained hits 1. So yeah. So the heavy bolt rifles and heavy bolters are sustained hits 1 and heavy and assault. Okay, cool. So yeah, getting +1 to wound with your heavy weapons is actually really with your bolt weapons is actually really good.
Yep.
Because that's going to make them punch up into vehicles pretty well. So okay, all right, yeah.
Okay,
All right.
there's a lot of baseline stuff that's just like this is actually kind of dumb how good this is with
Yeah,
when you look at it.
they've really turned the traditional like 8th and 9th edition rule evaluations on their head in 10th edition.
Yep.
I don't know how hard it was to get advanced in charge. Now it's like everyone gets advanced in charge. Why? Why would you be upset about that? Like, God dang it. All right. Iron Storm. Iron Storm. So this one is supposed to represent the Iron Hands, or the Iron Wing of the Hexagrammaton, because we did it first, y'all. There you go. So
exactly.
This is what was traditionally called Salamander rerolls. It's or Master Artisans. Every unit gets to reroll 1 hit or 1 wound, right? So you want to. You're going to get the most value out of multiple units with large weapons. So you're going to run a bunch of gladiator lancers, right?
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So, but it's not restricted to vehicles. It's any unit, right? So your eliminators with las fusils, right? Your devastators, right? Things like that are going to benefit from this as well. So, okay, so
this would affect the lion, then, yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, 1 hit,
okay,
1 hit,
be pretty clutch.
and or 1 wound if he needed it. So,
yeah.
All right, and this is in addition, like your gladiator lancer, you can reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage, right? But its main gun is 2 shots, right? So you can just, like gladiator, you're going to see 3 gladiator lancers in a lot of stuff, right? Or 3 repulsor executioners. I would be willing to bet.
Oh, right? You mean this thing right here, this chassis right here I'm working on?
Yeah, I got one of those over on my desk. So, yeah. All right. So, you want to do enhancements first or stratagems?
Let's see. We got stratagems on the document first, so we can do that. Okay. Just go down the list, not confuse ourselves.
Sure.
Got Vengeful Animus. So 1 CP to auto explode. Fun. Okay. Always fun. Very clutch.
So this is going to be valuable on things with D6 Deadly Demise, which is basically like Land Raiders and maybe Repulsors. No, it's not Repulsors. It's Land Raiders. I think it's Land Raiders only. There might be one other thing that has it, right? But it's Land Raiders, I know for sure do it. So, all right.
Sometimes you just need a big boom.
Sometimes you just need to go boom, right? Yeah. Okay, so just like charge it in their face, let it blow up. Oh, hey, D3 mortal wounds to a bunch of stuff, right? And it's not like you weren't taking a Land Raider, right? Yeah. So say 1 CP for, okay, so Ancient Fury. So 1 CP in your command phase until your next command phase. A walker of your choice gets +1 to movement, toughness, strength, leadership, OC, and to hit.
It's basically the Dreadnought from the first Dawn of War cinematic. You just get to go amazing.
Yeah, just go haywire, right? That's real good, right? You could, like, if I could feed a CP to this guy every turn, that'd be fantastic, right? So I'm into that. And make him do it on a Brutalis or something, so he goes in and just hits on 2s, and then he's got rerolls to wound with Brutalis Talons. It's gonna be great, right? That would be really nice. So, all right, Power of the Machine Spirit, right? This Classic. Is another one. If your vehicle is reduced from above half strength to below half strength, the vehicle can shoot back because the Chat GPT is mad. So, all right. This will make you think twice about shooting at repulsors, executioners, and Land Raiders and stuff like that, or even dreadnoughts, right? So,
especially since you're getting all those rerolls, right? On top of it,
especially since you're getting going to hit you back. Yep. Yeah. So, okay. Unbowed Conviction is another stratagem. This one's a battle tactic. One unit that is below starting strength is the target. They ignore all modifiers to their characteristics and dice rolls other than saving throws.
These are important, these things that do this, because the Terminators, they got rid of the ability where they do this inherently. That got taken away from them in the new codex. So this pops up as a stratagem, as an enhancement, in different detachments. So keep your eye out for this if you run into this problem, because it exists in other places.
And I like that this piece of functionality is added in here, because that would make, so it's a reason to take, your Terminators, right? Say, oh no, I ignore that, right? Oh, you got damage reduction? That's cute. No, you don't. So, yeah. Also, another CP, another command point, or god dang it, another stratagem. Mercy is weakness. If you target a enemy below half starting strength, you get sustained hits 1. And if the target of the stratagem is a vehicle, you critical hit on a 5+ instead of a 6+. So this is like, if you do the math out, it's like a 50% increase in the damage a vehicle will do, which is amazing. So nice.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Okay. And that's actually going to pair very well with one of the enhancements that we're about to talk about. I will just lead with this one right here.
Okay.
This is the one that makes me think that this is the ideal detachment for Ravenwing. This one is called Master of Machine War. It is a 6-inch aura of being able to advance or fall back, or advance when you shoot, and fall back and charge, and fall back and shoot. So you put this on a Talon Master, and then all your stuff around him can advance and shoot, and if he gets tried up in combat, fall back and shoot.
Okay.
So you surround him with, and this works on vehicles, right? Specifically vehicles. And the problem that the regular Space Marine Codex is going to have is that they don't have any characters that can keep up with the vehicles, right? Other than maybe a Primaris Bike Chaplain. But a Talon Master, different story.
Yeah.
Right? And a Talon Master is going to get lone operative for anything that's mounted or fly. So you're going to put a little squadron of storm speeders around him, or maybe even one of your freaking airplanes, right? And you're going to be able to advance and shoot.
I think you're putting him next to some land speeder vengeances, and that's how you're going to do it.
Yeah. So, and that's, so like your thunder strikes, right, are going to, and the land speeder vengeances are what's going to really benefit from the ability to do, from the detachment rule, the rerolls. Right, so this is a really good thing, and if you think about it, this is going to interact super well with disregard. I'm thinking the wrong thing. All right, but yeah, I think that's a really cool. I think it's a really cool thing. Like Ravenwing Landspeeder spam is going to be nice.
Yeah, and essentially nice. You point this out, that this is because there is a detachment that is like the clear and obvious, this is your biker one.
Yeah,
but
it's not going to be as good as that. Yeah. Well, for bikers it would be, because its triggers really often mounted, but this one is going to be the Ravenwing Land Speeder detachment,
which is the real sauce. That's the real sauce. Which is the
sauce, right? And once again, it's a shame that the firstborn Land Speeders have kind of gone out of the picture, because oh lordy, this would have been crazy. Anyway. Okay. So other stuff they have here. Adept of the Omnissiah is for a Tech Marine only. And once per, I think, battle round, you can change a failed save on a vehicle within 6 inches to 0 damage.
Taste it, all the big stuff.
Of course you're going to do that, right? And then, so you're probably honestly going to take 2 Tech Marines in this list if you take it as like Iron Wing. You're going to take one for Omnissiah's Adept, and then you're going to take another one for the Target Augury enhancement. It's 40 points, but it gives you a 6-inch aura of lethal hits for vehicles.
Yep, that's good.
And that interacts super well with the Mercy's weakness.
Yep.
Because you'll get sustained hits and lethal hits on 5+ for vehicles. Forget something that's below starting strength, which is amazing. So, yeah. Anyway, so I said, I think that one is a real chance to be spicy for Ravenwing, because you can put your dark shrouds to give your vehicles more durability than they're supposed to have. You're going to get the most benefit out of your rerolls from all the heavy weapons. You're going to get a lot of benefit out of the Master of Machine War because you're going to be able to move your Talon Masters around, right? So, yeah. Right? And those Landspeeder Vengeances are going to throw heat down range. So, yeah, I think this is real good. So,
all right. And I like the next one with the Firestorm. I feel like this is where I'm actually going to end up playing to start out because all your weapons get assault, and then if you're within 12 inches of an enemy unit, you get +1 strength. So this is sort of where the Salamander Flamer dudes are supposed to be. But think about all the things that are strength 8 or just touching strength 9 that now all of a sudden they're strength 9. They go from 8 to 9 and then 9 to 10, which means they go from not being able to interact with vehicles. Yeah, so they go from not being able to interact with vehicles very well to they do, or they have a 50-50 shot, but now you've changed the math to where now it's a 66% chance. So like imagine, because like you were saying with Hellblasters, if they've got Azrael in there, it's a combat unit. So it's going to move up the board. It's going to get into combat. It's going to get within 12 inches of an enemy model. And now all of a sudden, all those Hellblasters are strength 9 instead of strength 8. So you're sacrificing +1 to wound, but you get this.
You're strength 8 if you don't overcharge. Which, if you're shooting into toughness 4, non-2 wound models, is actually really nice. So
I also saw this with the Hammer Strike, because I always find my problem with the Hammer Strike is you have to really drop him on something to get the max out of his Melta.
Yeah.
To get the and now he's within 12, so now his Melta goes from being strength 9 to strength 10.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty good breakpoint for medium vehicles or for light armor vehicles. And other land speeders. And that's going to let you wound Terminators on 2s instead of 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's got 3-shot Melta doing that.
And overcharged Landspeeder Vengeances, if you can get them close, are going to go to strength 10 and wound Terminators on 2s instead of 3s with 3 damage plasma. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something here with this, I feel like.
Okay. Curious to see how you design it out, right? But okay. I'm starting to pick up what you're putting down.
So enhancements, we've got Champion of Humanity. So earlier we had the stratagem that did this in the last detachment. This is now an enhancement where a unit ignores all modifiers to characteristics and rolls except for saves. So this is the old Terminator rule. You put it on a character, and then his squad gets this.
Yep.
So again, you can put this in your Hellblaster squad now. So when they try and debuff you so you can't do all the fun stuff, you're like, how about we don't do that?
Or not.
All the Eldar -1 hit shenanigans, we're not playing that game anymore.
All your like Lich Guard -1 to wound?
Yeah, not playing that game. Oh, all the Orc -1 to wound stuff? Yeah. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, no, this is definitely... Yeah, I'm about this. Adamantine... Adamantine? Yeah. Adamantine Mantle. This has been around for a while.
It has.
So it reduces damage by 1 unless it's Torrent or Melta, and then it just makes it 1. So someone runs up on you to give you that sweet, sweet, spicy big Melta hit, and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to take 1. So that is kind of interesting for like the counterplay, because in a mirror match, this was kind of like, haha, this is what this list is supposed to, or this detachment is supposed to buff Melta and Torrent, but actually it has a one thing in there that's like, yeah, if I actually take this, I counter the whole thing that this does.
Once again, that would be really nice. That would be really great on a Talent Master.
Yep.
Because
you know they're going to shoot Melta at it. A lot of other stuff too. Forged in Battle, change a die roll, a hit or a die roll to a 6 after seeing the result. Do it once a turn.
That's really that's so powerful. Like, oh, yeah, you had one thing through you're relying on. I'm sorry, I just saved it. Oh, but I'm gonna try and roll. Oh, I missed it. I'm gonna save that. Don't worry. Yeah. So.
Yeah. This is where I wish this was a stratagem and not enhancement, because then I'd want to use it on the lion. So I'm like, oh, and by the way, take some mortals.
Yeah,
but obviously you cannot do that.
Honestly, that's part of the reason why it's not. Because it would be too powerful if it was a stratagem instead of an enhancement, right? So
remember we were talking about wounds. So here's a battle tactic, Crucible of Battle. It's a battle tactic, so you can do this for free with the free stratagem things. +1 to wound if you're within 6 inches of the target, shoot, or in the fight phase. So you can give out double +1 to wound, and you can do it in 2 phases.
Okay.
So when you're trying to deal with Oath of the Moment only being hit roll, this I think is going to be the spice for fixing that. And when you look at what some of the other things in this detachment is supposed to do, we're getting ready to get into the
this is
the transport ones. Like this is going to play well in the transport play.
This is one of those things that the lion would really benefit from, because the lion with his sweep attack, just Crucible of Battle +1 to wound. Now it's wounding on hit on twos with like 16 attacks or some nonsense like that.
Yeah. Yep. Is there sustained hits on that too? I don't remember.
There is. Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
These lethal hits on the strike and sustained on the sweep.
Yeah.
So
stupid.
So
yeah, and then I see you got a note, can place Untitled Chapter, make things like aggressors and terminators better. Yes, so it makes everything better. That's the fun part if you're on top of it. So again, like if you're using the hammer strikes, like I've always used my hammer strikes, and this is the tactic with I've played all along with all my speeders. If they leave a character open, you move the dude on top of the character and go, I target them.
Yeah.
I did this at the GT to a Calidus assassin. They left it on the night player left it on the back objective. They killed one land speeder. I'm like, I know I need to be shooting armigers, but I want to be really annoying because I know I can do this. Move the Thunderstrike on top of the Calidus, and I'm like, everything into that. And he was like, yeah, that's annoying. And I'm like, yeah, so is the Calidus. I promptly died after that. There was like 3 or 4 armigers came over to say, how do you do? But it was worth it.
We are displeased with your yeah. Okay. All right.
But
rapid
the next 2 are fun.
Yeah, rapid. So
3.
So okay. Did you talk about the Onslaught of Fire?
No. So no, these next 3 are.
Yeah, we got
this is where where like the Crucible helps, because how do I get within 6 inches of something to shoot it? All this other stuff plays in. So Onslaught of Fire, any model that disembarks gets +1 to hit if they target the closest enemy unit within 12 inches when they get out. You have Burning Vengeance, which is if something shoots at your transport, you can get out of the transport and then immediately shoot that thing.
And instruct them as to why that was a bad plan. Yeah. So, again, lots of play for Hellblasters here. And Repulsors and Vibrators. Yeah.
Yep. And then Rapid Embarkation is a unit within 6 inches of the transport at the end of the fight phase can then get in.
Yeah.
So lots of fun there.
That's going to require some skill to play, I think, right? You're going to have to line yourself up very carefully with your vehicles to be able to take and like a repulsor or something like that already has the emergency combat embarkation where you can just jump in if you're charged. And I've only ever pulled that off successfully like once, but yeah. So.
And then Immolation Protocol is a battle tactic. Torrent weapons get dev wounds, so this is where your Flamestorm gauntlets and your Infernus squads and all that stuff. And so again, I think that we also need to think about as Dark Angels players. This is a 2 CP strat, so in a lot of people's heads, you're thinking, if I'm going, I can do this turn 1 if I'm going second. Otherwise, I have to wait till turn 2. Forget all that. Just put Azrael on the board. You have 2 CP at the start of your turn. Doesn't matter which top or bottom of the turn.
Or
you just have it.
Or let's say you're 6 Flamestorm guys, and instead of a Biologus, because you wouldn't put a Biologus with Flamestorm guys, you'd put a Gravis Captain, right? They just get out of a Land Raider and then do this and then charge. Because it's battle tactics, you can do it for free, right? So yeah, that's gonna get spicy, right? So you can say +1 to wound for the thing, and then everything that rolled a 6 on, you're gonna get dev wounds, right? Now, once again, you have no rerolls, you have no wound rerolls unless you also have like a Levi Lieutenant or something like that. But still, like 10 intercessors, or sorry, 10 Infernus Marines could generate a lot of output like this, and 6 aggressors. I don't know if the flame aggressors have the double flamers anymore, the 2d6 flamers, or are they twin linked flamers?
They're all twin linked now.
Oh my god, yes, you can. So it's expect to see a lot of this. Expect to see a lot of that. That's crazy. A little bit. That's so good.
So the next detachment is the Stormlance, which is what everyone thinks should be the Ravenwing one, because this is the biker one. And I keep looking at it, and I keep wanting to make it work. But that's why I was happy that you're like, oh, just do this with your Ravenwing, because what I want to do with Ravenwing works in that other one, the Iron Storm. So, but the Stormlance still has fun play in the fact that this is everybody gets advanced charge and fall back in charge. So this guy's super awesome with Terminators, with the Lion, because you're just going to advance and charge with them, and then when you need to keep moving, you can just fall back in charge. And that's sometimes what you got to do when you look at these detachments is not go, oh, this is what they're obviously for, but then you got to think outside the box.
So part of the thing for so I agree. Yeah, advanced charge is a great rule, but if you take Stormlance and you're not taking the mount or fly, you don't get access to like half of the enhancements or stratagems.
Right.
That being said, Dark Angels do have access to more like mounted characters and mounted units than anyone else. Because remember, your regular bike squads, your attack bike squads, and your bike characters for the base codex all went away. There's one mounted character in the whole book, and that's the chaplain on bike, right? And then there's outriders. So we have triple the amount of mounted stuff, right? With Black Knights and Black Knight command squads. So Samael already lets you advance and charge. So you could put him into this into here, and then that'll let you this one stratagem right here where it's the full throttle. A mounted or vehicle unit that's not a walker gets a 6-inch advance or a 9-inch advance if it's mounted. So imagine being able to move 12 inches, auto advance 9, and then still charge with Samael.
Yeah.
And a 6-man command squad. Yikes. That's pretty good.
Yep.
So
that's what we're talking about.
And
then once you do that, ride hard, ride fast, mounted or fly unit gets -1 to hit, -1 to wound.
Yeah, that's your defensive stratagem, right? So -1 to wound is really good, right? And -1 to hit, -1 to wound, like you're gonna have a hard time getting through that. Plus, you've got a 5 of pinball save. So yes. All right, other thing I saw here was there's one called Hunter's Instincts, right? This lets you treat the battle round as if it was one higher than it actually was for purposes of bringing on strategic reserves. So imagine that 6-man Black Knight squad with a chaplain in it, but you can just reserve it, and then on turn 1 it comes on anywhere on the board edge that isn't your opponent's deployment zone. Just high. And then, obviously you've got a bonus to charge with the champion, right? And then you've got the devastating wounds from the chaplain. The chaplain's devastating wounds things only works if you're within 12 inches, but it's still a lot of really good damage output, right? So there are a couple of things that you could do with this that would actually be really nice. And I think that I might actually give that a shot. Right, at some point, right? I might need to get another or finish building a Ravenwing Ancient because I don't have one. But I don't have one paint. I have anyway, whatever. But yeah, so I think Chaplain and Samael leading Black Knights, and then a couple of now and full throttle would work on a vehicle, so it'll work on your land speeders and your storm speeders and your Talonmaster as well. So there's something there, right? And once again, the Lion, right, with a unit of, Terminators, and give them a Terminator command squad for the +1 advance and charge, and just yeet them right up the middle of the board, right? With
this
you got
is
bikes.
This is an enhancement.
Zooping around, right?
Yeah, this is an enhancement though, so you can't use it on the Lion. Oh, in addition to the Lion, now I see what you're saying. Now,
yeah. I was saying like because you want to give the Lion a little operative, right? So you get a Deathwing command squad, right? And then they can advance and charge, right? And a command squad gets +1 to advance and charge, right? With all the usual tech you'd put in there, right? And I don't know if you need a captain, right? Unless you want that faint withdrawal.
I think that might go on a mounted unit, but even then, you put that on the chaplain, so now your plasma bikes can fall back, shoot, and charge every turn.
I think Fury of the Storm and Hunter's Instincts are the ones that go on mounted units specifically. Portents of Wisdom, which is the reroll advance for the Bears unit, and Faint Withdrawal, I don't think are locked to mounted units, but there are. So yeah, there's I think Dark Angels could make this play, and it depends. Do you want to play Bike Ravenwing or do you want to play Speeder Ravenwing? Speeder Ravenwing, the Iron Storm is clearly a better choice, in my humble opinion. So again, please comment below, but and let us know what you think. But man, having a 21-inch guaranteed move for a Samael with a Black Knight squad, and then be able to charge, dude, that's something.
Well, and then that fainting withdrawal, yeah, you can put it on anything. So if you put that on like an apothecary, that goes in your Hellblaster squad. So now you can always fall back, shoot, and charge with your Hellblasters, which is what you used to have to pay as a stratagem. But now you don't even have to worry about spending the CP on it because you can just do it.
I don't even think you need an apothecary to do that. You can take a lieutenant, like a Primaris lieutenant gives you lethal hits and fallback, shoot, and charge.
Also true. So, I just like my apothecary.
And the apothecary lets you bring a guy back, but then you don't get the lethal hits. I don't know. I've actually looked at the at lieutenants for my double Hellblaster aggressor list a lot in the last couple weeks. No, it's just thinking to replace the librarian, because I was like, I don't know if I need the extra 4-pinball save. I would rather have the lethal hits, the fallback, shoot, and charge, but whatever. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Now that we're actually talking about this, I'm a little less down on it. I think a couple of big units of Black Knights, and you could make this. You could make this hum. So anyway, we'll see. I'll try. Like once I finish gearing up for this tournament in November, where I'm definitely going to play Green Wing, then I will. I'll probably give one of these other lists, one of these other detachments, a crack. So okay, Stormlance, last one. You want to talk about the first company for task force?
Oh, we also got a Vanguard too.
Oh yeah, which one you want to do first?
We can do first company. It's right here. We'll mix it up a bit here. So they've got the Exterminus level threat. So the once per game you get the old.
I think it's Extremis.
Old Oaths. Exterminus. Oh, Extremis.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
So this Extremis level threat. This isn't on everything in the list. It's only for Terminators, Vanguard, Stern Guard, and Blade Guard.
Yep.
So it's not like you can say, my now if it was Dreadnoughts, that might be something that might be cool. But anyway.
Why they gotta be mean? They can be in the Deathwing. I don't know why.
I know, right? Hating. But this isn't a Deathwing. This is a basic, so
it's coming. It's coming. You gotta wait till February, but it's coming. Alright, so I like it. So we've got Imperium Sword. So this is the fun part about this detachment, is that their enhancements, they all affect the character, but then once per game they can affect the squad they're leading. So Imperium Sword gives +1 attack. And then once per game you're like, everybody gets +1 attack. That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Okay. Interesting that they called it Imperium Sword, because that's what the name of the Terminator Chaplain or Terminator Captain's reroll charges is. But okay.
And then Rights of War is back again, and it affects his OC, gives him +1 OC, but then on your turn you can just be like, everybody gets +1 OC, which if you have a command squad, a Terminator command squad, really you're like, everybody gets more, all the OC, everybody gets it.
I'm OC 4, and I'm battle shocked. It's not a stratagem. You're just activating the enhancement. And you go from OC 4 to OC3 because you go to 0 and then +1 for the ancient. I guess +1 if you have a Terminator ancient attached, and +1 for this. So, yeah.
Okay. And then this other one is also kind of fun. Fear Made Manifest, which is an old chaplain ability, makes a model run away if the squad is battle shocked within 6 inches, and then you could just give that to your whole squad. Just 6 inches from the whole squad. It's like if anybody gets battle shocked this turn, get them.
Lose model?
Now here's where this is fun. You play a doubles tournament with a Tyranids player that has like the once per game everybody gets battle shocked, and you stack it with this.
Okay.
And just start killing things everywhere.
All right. That is very specific, but I can see why you'd be entertained. Yeah. All right. What is this Iron Resolve? It's is this just a straight 5-up Feel No Pain?
Yeah. Oh, and then really once per game, the whole squad gets a 5-up Feel No Pain.
That's pretty good. 5-up Feel No Pains are really nice. So. Okay.
So the stratagems, duty and honor, you get sticky objectives on a squad.
That's really good.
Heroes of the chapter gets +1 to hit, and these are all affecting like your veteran squads, like you already mentioned. So like this isn't just a generic everybody gets it kind of thing. The orbital teleportarium lets you redeploy Terminators. So you just pick them up, zoop, beam me up.
Is that like the next turn, or is it like right now? You just like bloop bloop.
I'm not
Let's
sure.
Go. I'm trying to go find.
I think it's the next turn.
First, oh, you put one of your Terminator units into strategic reserves at the end of your opponent's fight phase, which means they'll be available on your next turn.
Yeah, it's pretty useful. Oh, something I just saw when I went back to look at that I forgot about Stormlance is that one of their stratagems gives a unit that already has the assault ability on their weapon sustained hits, the blitzing fusillade, and one of the things that has that already are assault or inceptors, plasma inceptors. You could put sustained hits on plasma inceptors, which I thought would be fun.
They have sustained hits? God, how come I don't know this? Okay. All right. That's cool.
I think the assault bolter ones come with sustained hits, but the plasma ones don't. And so there was a stratagem in the Stormlance that lets you give them that. And I was like, okay, I would throw in Inceptors in this list to do that.
Oh, because they have assault. They have their assault. That's why. And you can give them sustained hits of the thing. Okay, got it. Okay. All right, so the last two from the first company task force, terrifying proficiency, right? If you charge a unit and then kill it in melee, everything within 6 inches has to take a battle shock test.
Yeah.
Look,
if it's a 10-man squad of Deathwing Terminators kind of spread out.
Yeah.
And then you got Fear Manifest popping off on the same turn. Everybody pick up a model. Every squad pick them up. I want to see the models. Pick them up.
That's to me that falls under cute but not game changing.
That's very fair.
If there is stuff that you could like, is there anything that you could do to like reduce leadership or like make people more likely to battle shock? Or
Reavers
okay, so maybe maybe there's some interactions you can do there.
Used to.
I think you're right. They give -1 OC or -1 leadership. So
yeah, they do.
Okay, look that real quick. I don't know, just because like you have to charge and then kill a unit, which if it's a big unit of Terminators or a big unit of Blade Guard, probably gonna happen. But it's still like okay, and then you get to make a battle shock test, and that's still not a like okay, I passed it. Okay, I passed it. Okay, I passed it. Sure, and then it's like. Your next turn, okay, well, they're not battle shocked anymore. Like, what does that do? Okay, so maybe you didn't score an objective because they're OC1, right? Or they can't use stratagems on them for a minute. Like, I don't know. It's just not quite. If it was like they become battle shocked, I'd be like, okay, now we're talking. But it's not. They have to take a test. So.
I can't find Reavers right away.
All right, but no worries.
But they have something that does.
I see your class too.
Does something.
Okay.
I don't know.
So the last stratagem here in the first company task force is Legendary Fortitude. This is reduced damage by 1, only when you're charged though. So this one obviously could potentially stack very nicely with Deathwing Knights because they'll take damage 3 stuff down to damage 2. In melee, there's not a lot of damage 3 stuff out there. Unless you're talking like getting punched by armigers, which I guess there is a lot of armigers. But or you're fighting other Deathwing Knights. That would be hilarious. 2 big units of Deathwing Knights just doing 1 damage to each other all over the place. So, but I think the efficacy of this is somewhat reduced by the fact that there's like 3 other rules in this codex that ignore it.
Yeah.
So, take it for what it's worth. I wouldn't build around it, but like I don't know if I would make the first company task force my term like I'm going to play all Deathwing, make it first company task force. I don't know if I would do that. There's a couple things that might be cool. The duty and honor to get a sticky objective, that would probably be very helpful. Right? The +1 to hit would also be helpful. The redeploy, the redeploy would be helpful. Just the honestly, the extremis level threat detachment rule just doesn't really well me that much. It's just like once per game, I get the old version of Oath a Moment, but you're taking that away from me right now. Like it doesn't feel good. So,
well, and it's not something that happens the whole game, right? That's always been something that I've looked at in playing. Like, what can I do to give myself just passive ability all the time, so I'm always getting bang for my buck? And this is definitely you have to know what you're doing.
It's real hard to tell me it's too powerful when I have it right now and I'm still losing games. So, and it's like, in this list, most of the stuff you're going to have is going to be bolters, right? Because it's Terminators, right? And like Stern Guard, right? So, and it's not like we've got, so honestly, Blood Angels with this, no, because I think Sanguinary Guard wouldn't fall it, and Death Company veterans wouldn't be able to do it either. So, but yeah, look, I don't know. I'm just not that. The stratagems are kind of cool, but I'm just not that into the detachment rule. It doesn't really do anything else for me. I would rather have combat doctrines, to be honest. Yeah.
No, I got you.
All right.
So last one's Vanguard. So this is the Raven Guard one, the Phobos one. So -1 to hit and cover if you are outside 12 inches. If your units are being targeted by something more than 12 inches away. And I see you have the note here that it's specifically not stealth, so it stacks with stealth from a Dark Shroud, which we all know you can't go to -2 to hit. But if somebody has a +1 to negate your -1, they have to find a second source of +1 to negate the -1 again.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff out there with blanket +1 to hit. Necrons are real good right now, and there's a combo where they can get +1 to they can give everything within 6 inches of a character the effect of being led, which is +1 to hit, and the Silent King has a 12-inch aura of reroll 1s to hit and wound. Right, so being able to stack a -1 to hits would actually be very important for that. So, and so hey, you could not take a Dark Shroud, right, and get most of the benefits. Or if you're like, man, I'm really running into a lot of Necrons, or I think that I'm going to have to go through them at this tournament, take a Dark Shroud, and it's going to be valuable. So, and also Dark Shrouds are cheap, and they're very valuable late game movement platforms. So,
well, and then on top of this goes on tanks and stuff too, right? So some of your non-invuln save tanks, you can be a little more open, a little more out and about. Like the Repulsor Executioner has a heavy, the Las Destroyer is a heavy weapon, so you if you hide it, you got to move it so you don't get the +1 to hit the first turn you move it. But if you have something like this, you're like, you know what, I trust that this is enough of a debuff. I can put this out in the open and line up a shooting lane, and anything that moves in front of it, I'm going to hit.
And don't forget, all these detachments all have armor contempt.
Yep.
So in cover plus armor contempt is pretty good. With a -1 to hit, it's pretty durable.
Yep.
Pretty durable. So
this is the fun part. This is the part that Goonhammer pointed out that I'm like, yeah, we got to do this. So one of the enhancements is Blade Driven Deep. You put it on a character. It doesn't say Phobos. It does not say Phobos. So what does this mean? It means you put it on Captain and Terminator armor. And what do? You put him in a Deathwing Knight squad and you infiltrate them.
Infiltrate 10 Deathwing Knights. Hey guys, surprise. We've been here the whole time. Yeah.
So automatic. Yeah. So remember when people said Terminators had a hard time moving across the board? We're already halfway across the board to start the game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so I like this. Then one of the other enhancements is the Ghost Weave Cloak. So you gain stealth and lone operative, and I want to know if this says something about vehicles, because you could just give this to a Talon Master.
Yeah, and that would let him have lone operative, which would be very helpful. So
and -1 to hit. So if they even got close to him, he's got -1 to hit on top.
Yeah.
Yep. So I like
that. Said so the Talon Master could be a really interesting movement piece, because he's only 105 points. He's got a good gun, right? He ignores cover with that gun because he is within 6 inches of himself. But normally, you have to take a couple of mounted or fly units to make him worthwhile. But yeah, that's cool. If you don't want to take much other stuff for some reason, that would be very neat. So,
and then you've got execute and redeploy, so Phobos only, so move, shoot, move mechanic. And then this one I think will be very fun. So Shadow War Vet gives you some kind of Agents of Vect ability. So you could put this on whatever, and then you have the Lion. So you actually have access to 2 different versions of Vect at the same time.
Yeah.
Which would also be very funny.
Yeah.
And then there was something in the stratagems that I saw.
They have a couple stratagems. So one's called a Deadly Prize, which is where you can, for 1 CP, basically set up a D3 mortal wound mine on an objective you control. Right? If an enemy unit that moves that ends a normal, advance, or charge or fallback move within 3 inches of the objective until they control it at the start or end of a turn, they'll take D3 mortal wounds. So if you hold the objective, they're going to continue to get got by it until they move off the objective, until they control the objective and can disarm it. Right?
Yeah.
That's possibly real good. And you can do it multiple times, right? So, yeah. And then we've got surgical strikes.
Well, here's where you do it. Is in this part. Yeah, keep going. Okay, what you were just talking about with the Deadly Prize.
Is a battle tactic that gives your unit precision for 1 fight phase for 2 CP.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's good.
Right? And Strike from the Shadows gives your unit +1 ballistic skill, extra -1 AP, and forces a battle shock test on a model that unit that loses a model from shooting.
There's your Deadly Prize. You battle shock whatever the thing is on the objective with you, so you keep it, and then you just keep boink, 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 boink.
Okay, yeah, but they have to move near it, right? So if you're just in an ongoing fight on the objective, it wouldn't go off, right? And so they'd have to fall back or move, or So,
but they
normal
might.
Advance, charge, or fallback move, right? And if they move, they're like, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to touch that thing. So, yeah,
right. But it might not be the unit in front of them shooting them. It could be you're across the board and you snipe them with this. The unit that they're obviously positioning to assault you on the objective, you snipe them. And then if they try and challenge you, because I don't have any OC, but I'm going to try and. There could be some, or you fall back, you snipe them. I don't know. I feel like there's some opportunity here where you could do some shenanigans, and it might trigger. But I like that, and I also think that helps with things that have, imagine doing. I know Desolation Marines are kind of out of the.
They're out of vogue, yeah.
Vogue, but you give them +1 to hit and -1 AP, so now they're ignoring most of the indirect fire problems, and then you have things that let you ignore cover, like a hammer strike or a Talon Master.
They're already doing that. If they don't move, they're already ignoring. They ignore the penalties for indirect fire. So this is in addition to that, a +1 to hit and an additional -1 AP.
And then
or if you move, you just boom, and they ignore the penalties for indirect fire. So that could be okay. I think surgical strike could be really interesting on the Lion, because he just walks in and nope, precision, get out of here. So So I'm trying to cast this in terms of, how would the Dark Angels play this? This is what we would call in the Heresy a Firewing detachment, right, is meant to disrupt the enemy's command and control via targeted assassinations, right, and just communications, C4I, just trickery. So,
which I love. I love this kind of stuff,
yep,
and you see it again in their other their strategic ploys. Calculated feint is unit gets to make a normal move of D6 when they have a charge declared against them, and if it's a Phobos movement, they just get to move 6.
that's really
So you
cool.
can run away from things that try and fight you. So they're saying here this is where you could combo some deadly demise stuff, where you could fall back onto the objective. So when they try and charge you, then they end up closer to the objective. And then of course my personal favorite, since it came into the game, is the guerrilla tactics, where if you have an infantry unit or 2, so you can do it to 2 Phobos units
Oh wow!
for one
Okay.
stratagem. You can pick up things if they're outside 3 inches of an enemy unit at the end of their fight phase. You can pick them up and put them in strategic reserves.
I imagine it's very hilarious to me just imagining a unit of 10 Deathwing Knights, just all of a sudden, you can't see us anymore. You can't see us.
Yeah.
So, and because they're, and because it says they put them to strategic reserves, not reserves, so they wouldn't be able to teleport in with their rule. They'd have to use strategic reserves, right?
Right. But but it could be one of those funny situations where. So this is where it would be fun: is you do that because the enemy's in your deployment zone, messing up your back line. You pick up your Terminators and you deep strike them. You strategic reserve them into combat within 1 inch of your board edge. You're just like boop, and now they're there.
Wow! Like hi. So
and it happens on their turn, so they're not expecting it. They're not expecting you to just be like, yeah, my Terminators that were over there are now off the board, and they're over here, and they're going to fight you.
Honestly,
it doesn't happen often, but you can do it. When you get to pull it off, it's fantastic.
I could see this being really cool. With Azrael with 10 Hellblasters, you just guerrilla tactics them, and when they land back on the board, they hit strike from the shadows, so they're hitting on 2s with an additional point of AP, so they're AP 4.
And then they make that thing take a battle shock test, and you've probably killed. If they're not dead, they're definitely below half strength.
There's some cool. So the downside of that would be that Azrael's off the board for that turn, so you're not going to get the CP. But that might also be, once again, that's the turn where the Lion can do his CP generating thing. But so there's a couple things you can do. So listen, it's cool that there's some stuff you can do with all of them, right? The only one that I'm really like, I don't know, is honestly the first company detachment.
Which is the one you'd think we'd all jump on because it has to do with Terminators, and we're like, I don't know, man. I want to see some more. And again, we're doing a review of a review.
Guys. Let's see. We don't know the true. We don't know the real deep here.
Yeah.
So I would like to say that for our next episode, which we can probably try and get at least one game in with one of these, right? And let's see if we can try and each play a different one, so we can talk about our different experiences with it, right? So and we can sort that out offline, but we should be able to report back on it at some point. So
something we can report back on is our monthly challenge, Heath.
Oh yeah.
So from last month, we had to do some stuff out of the Leviathan box. So I don't know where I got the Terminator shield, but I did build and prime and start to paint the captain, and I gave him like a hooded head and a Dark Angel shoulder pad, and of course our backpack game must be strong, right?
Strong backpack game. Yeah.
And he has a Deathwing Terminator thing. But what's more fun, because he's all done, and he's going with the line with me to Florida in a couple weeks, 2 weeks, is I did get the Leviathan Lieutenant done. And I put it's the Push Fit Eliminator head, where he's got like goggles on. I thought that made him look scarier. Okay. And that kind of made him a little more unique. One of the things I realized until I sat down to start writing the notes is I forgot to put the Dark Angels logo on his shoulder pad, so I had to sit here and paint that real fast because I wasn't going to show him off without that.
He looks like he's looking like Eminem with that hood game on, right?
Yeah. It's just. And then a nice personal touch to people who have known me for a long time. The Terminator bits on him, I painted the color of my old Terminator or my old Tyranid army. So if anyone that from like my OG group ever sees this, they'll know that like, oh, that's what all of his nids, his chocolate nids, used to look like. So that was sort of my fun homage to myself, to my past, my dark Xenos past. But he was fun. What you got, Heath?
Well, I got my ballistas to the point where I'm willing to call it done. I realized yesterday as I was looking at it that I probably want to church up the shoulder weapons a little bit more. I'll probably put a checkerboard pattern on there, and a little bit of weathering. But I got a ballistas done, and
Nice.
I built the Terminator Captain, as I said, and I've primed and underpainted it, but I haven't painted it yet because I was kept thinking I'm gonna make it a chaplain, and then I was like, because I have the Forge World Marduk Cedrus model, the Lord of the 23rd Order in Cataphracta armor, which is a baller looking Dark
Nice.
Angels Terminator Captain, right? And he's got a relic blade, right? Which is the pose I like. He's got a combi weapon. I'm like, I could just. He's not the. So anyway, I got to put him on a 50 mil base, right? So I was like, I don't want to. Anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna call the
Yeah.
ballistas. So I think is as good enough. So there we go. What are we gonna do
Excellent.
next? So, what are we gonna do for next month?
Well, there's going to be a plethora of new Space Marine kits out between now and the next episode, probably.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to commit to that. I don't know. I have
And I'm not
I've got a
saying we
tournament.
paint it. I'm just
Yeah,
saying we get our
yeah.
hands on one and build one, and then maybe paint it in November.
Hmm.
Unless
Maybe
they're like
I'll
Hawaii
think about
gets
it.
nothing. You're allocated nothing.
I don't know. We'll see. I I've got a gladiator, a repulsor, a captain, and a couple of Deathwing Knights to finish. So
We
I don't
could
know. I
do a
could probably
backlog
try and get a
day.
kit. I can try and get a kit. Maybe like the jump intercessors. I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm ever going
Get
to
you a
use
jump.
the jump intercessors. I don't know. I'll
Get a
think about
jump.
it. But
Get a jump
yeah,
captain or the chaplain. There you can. There's the opportunity to cheat here and get like the one-off character kits and be like, yeah. Well, like I took the Augustus lieutenant. I took some of the Dark Angels upgrade bits for the intercessors and made him a
mm,
librarian with a hooded head
okay.
because there's like a pointy hand with like some dangly Dark Angels bits and a little Dark Angels like prayer book, and put a hood on him, put a sword in his hand, and all of a sudden he's a librarian. So
Okay.
paint him blue.
I've got
So
my. I'm
that's an
still
option.
rocking my cipher conversion librarian, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, I will. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
No worries.
So
If
we
if
do
if we
have,
can't do that, then clearing
Columbus
some
Day coming up,
backlog
and
because
yeah,
yeah, well, yeah, let's do some backlog because as I've been pulling out, I also have backlog just right off camera right here
yeah.
behind my magic Wizard of Oz screen here. There's plenty that I could do, so we could do that instead if it just doesn't work out. That's also fair because I need to do it as well.
All
Yep.
right.
So it's time to have
Community interaction.
The Alan Percival section of the show.
Okay. Thanks, Alan. We appreciate you.
The community interaction, exactly. We love Alan. I put a couple of Alan's things on here. Um, if you want to see them all, they are all in the on the last month or the bonus episode section. But we're gonna start off with this option video 209 said, "Where are your Dark Angels lists? Come on, I don't think Lion was in the list before and certainly isn't now. Cool model and everything, but he's still out. I could be wrong, but I doubt it." And I think Alan
I
and I
th-
both commented about like, "Oh no, we're gonna play with him," because that
I
was
think I think he's calling us to task for not taking unforgiven detachments, which is fair. Yeah, sir,
it's fair.
you have a good point, right?
Yeah.
It's just I'm trying to work out for a tournament, and I legitimately think that the Gladius detachment is better. So maybe I don't know. I've got a maybe I'll have a come to the light moment about that at some point in the future. But for right now, that is where I'm at. Now, I think I have gone on the record as saying I like the stratagems in the Dark Angel
Yes.
detachment better, but combat doctrines is just a better rule, right? Than the maybe battle shock matters, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So
Well, and
I
I
don't
like
think
the
I've yeah.
well, and I
So
think that's where the captain jump pack with the Heavenfall blade. That's where I'm looking at. I'm like, I'm gonna do that. Like I think if you're gonna have like the traditional jump smash captain, that's where he lies.
yeah,
Unless whatever that unless you give him that ghost weave cloak thing we just talked about too, where he now has lone operator and he can fly around and smack things with his sword.
If his sword is only 1 damage, does it really matter? I don't know.
Should
like
be too.
if he
It's
can
a
get a master crafted
power sword. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, I gotta see the data sheets for it. But so all right. And Mr. Eric Rose says for the lion. Yes, sir. Which reminds me, thank you, Eric. We didn't cover one of the most important upcoming releases.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
Joy Toy is putting out a fully articulated lion model and an Azrael model.
And the
what
watchers,
is wrong with us? So yeah.
And he's getting the watchers too.
And he's getting the watchers. I'm gonna I don't know. So man, so I'm definitely gonna get those. But thank you for reminding me, Eric. Okay.
That's important.
Yeah, indeed. So I think some of these detachments could legitimately make the lion pretty viable. Yeah, and like there's some stuff we can do. Anyway, so once we get the hands on the full thing, like and the prices of all the enhancements instead of just the ones they want to call out in this article, we're gonna get some scheming. We're gonna get some scheming. Right.
Oh, so, there'll be a deep scheme for sure. Yeah, because imagine the lion now has stealth and cover. So, like, if you misposition him or they kill, you accidentally pull something wrong and now he doesn't have lone operator anymore, he's now just -1 to hit if he's in a vanguard detachment. So he still has, and he's -1 to wound. He's -1 to hit and -1 to wound.
And if he gets a hold of your character, you just off with your head, just precision, right? Actually, well, I mean, he can already do that with an epic challenge. But that's is true. So
not as cool as surgical strikes. We want to be surgical about it. That's how it is. All right, so Wraith Raider, this is Alan, our boy Alan. What a great guy. What a wonderful man. We want to hear what he thinks of the first company and how that's all going to work out. He says, I'm with Bailey. I'm taking the line with me no matter what. Oh, this is perfect. Just into what we were talking about. However, I don't think the lieutenant is worth it. He doesn't help if people get within, get within 12 inches of him. And trust me, he needs to be close to be effective. I find Terminators help keep him safe when positioning. All right, so he's against the sneaky, Leviathan lieutenant trick.
That's so fair. if you're playing with the big Terminator list, then yes, you've got more infantry bodies, durable infantry bodies than you need to keep the lion safe while he's making his approach. But in a green wing list, right, that's not necessary, or Raven Wing list, that's not necessarily going to be the case. So we're trying to find other ways to get the lion into the list that aren't that. So
well, and I also want him to be able to operate. Creating, for me, my problem is, and I find this with a lot of Space Marine lists and playing into enemies or enemy forces, is that we like to death ball and be in one spot, and then it's hard for us to go out and fight over multiple objectives and fight on multiple fronts. And I'm always trying to build like those lists with the double Land Raiders, the double Dreadnoughts, and the double Predators. With the that list has lots of little moving pods that can move around and contest in multiple areas of the board and operate independently. And that's what I like about this lieutenant with the lion, is that allows you to, for it's like 500 points or whatever, but like it now can go operate independently and then you can send the Hell Blasters somewhere else, and then you can send this somewhere else, and everything can go off and do different things. But yeah, there is definitely a weakness to it. And there are armies that can just walk up and be like, yeah, we're just going to kill both of them right now. Like,
especially now that
could do it pretty easily.
Especially now that he doesn't have any protection against devastating moves. So, So, all right.
And then he's got the last one here. Now watched it all. Thanks for a great bonus episode as always. Thank you, Alan. Though I got excited when you started talking about Deathwing for 5 seconds that you did. But we talked about it a little bit more today.
So we did a little bit. So like the big bricks of Deathwing Knights do seem to be like they're a very strong opponent, which is good. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, when I've been writing these Gladius lists for the last couple weeks, I have been somewhat like, I was like, it doesn't feel like Dark Angels, right? Because I have like 1 or 2 Dark Angel units in the list. So that's why I'm like going away from the double Hellblaster Aggressor and going Hellblaster Aggressor Deathwing Nightbrick, because I want something that is more Dark Angel.
Yep.
So yeah, and I feel you on that. So yeah.
And he's at the LGT, and he's going to get back to us.
Oh yeah, we got to follow up on that.
That was 2 weeks ago. So he's going to who's going to reach out. We'll let you guys know.
Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll see if we can get a emergency location report from the LGT before the next one. So okay, stay tuned. We'll follow up on that.
Awesome. So thank you all for listening to this month's episode of The Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast. Our next episode will come out sort of end of October, early November. Please subscribe, like, and comment below if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on your preferred podcasting service. Hop over to YouTube and leave a comment. Yep. Last but not least, we'd like to thank Purple Planet for the use of their music. And until next time, I'm Bailey from Dank Wargaming.
I'm Heath with Table War Hawaii.
Stay loyal, Angels.